Here we go. Got it. We're live. Let's do the intro. God damn it. I hate that they move these things.
Wayne. Greg says it still got me as you. Huh.
It's time for Red Salad Review with your hosts, Wayne Moon, Greg Narvo, and Lou Banks.
Hello. Welcome to Rat Salad Review. What's up?
Hey,
Are you laughing at Lou's beard and his freshly clean shaven, cut haired head?
I like Lou's new look. It's very
It's interesting,
I like
right?
it.
It's different. It's different from Lou.
Yeah,
You used to
no,
have that
I-
back in the day. I've seen you.
I did have this back in the day, and
Yeah.
then I shaved it off.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see it make a comeback.
Thank you.
And and look at Wayne trying to look like me. I'm very proud of you, Wayne.
Thank you, Manny. You know what? Since we haven't done this show in a while, and I've been letting my hair grow out, and I figured it's about time.
Are you auditioning for Milli Vanilli?
Yes, girl, you know it's true. What's going on with Greg? Greg's having a problem.
apparently-
signing in.
Apparently, Greg did an interview under your Zoom
yeah,
account,
that's
and
right.
he logged out and then logged back in again under his name, but it still shows up as you. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It makes no sense. But hey, whatever. That's his problem, not mine. Yeah, actually, who did he do the interview with? That was with let's see here.
The
Jeremy Kling.
Frank
from-
Zappa of death metal.
Yeah, Jeremy Kling from an Inhuman Condition. So far the views aren't very good, but people need to really go check that out because he actually is. He's like all over the place. And that Inhuman Condition album, so many people talk about it. They even just talk about the band too. So there's a lot of fans of that band. So I'm really surprised the views aren't up. But go check that out because Greg put a lot of time into that, and he really likes that band.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's a really cool guy as well. So definitely. Go
Well, I
check
don't
it
know anything about him, but now we'll check him out.
out. Well, go check out the
Well,
thing.
Well, for all you fickle death metal fans out there, fans of Cal Decapitation and your Between the Buried and Me's, give this band a chance if you're into that kind of stuff. Come on.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you had me at cattle, but between the buried and me.
I love Between the Buried and Me.
Do you? Maybe I'll have to re-listen to them. It's been a while, but
Well, I was also in my early 20s when I got into them. And you know, it was a break from the starting line and the movie life and all that emo shit. So
yeah, I didn't like that email.
that's right. I
shit.
said emo shit. I don't care what anyone thinks.
Who was a Dashboard Confessional?
Oh,
them.
my kryptonite.
Fuck them. Anyway, go ahead.
Terrible.
Chris
stuff.
Carrabba had something great when he was in Further Seems Forever, and then he quit that to do Dashboard Confessional full time. And yeah, no thanks, and thanks for nothing.
Yeah, but in the early 2000s, didn't they have an MTV Unplugged? And I remember Kurt Loder.
You
whatever
watched it.
that-
I'm sorry for you.
I didn't watch that. I saw the
Okay,
clip.
good.
Kurt Loder or whatever those bastard name was. Go on.
Kurt
and-
Loder.
yeah, they showed the audience of mostly teenage girls, singing along to every pathetic whiny word.
that was a bad time in music. It really was. It's terrible.
Ugh.
Emo musicians are the reason why there are anti-grooming groups out there, because they were the earliest groomers. I'll be the first to say it.
Wow, I never thought of it that way, but wow.
I didn't either.
So, well, before we get started, did you, Wayne,
Before
you
we got
wanted
started, we
to?
got some things. I got some stuff in the mail recently, and Lou just
Yeah.
saw a nice concert the other night. So we'll talk about that first. But me
That's- yeah,
first.
sort of-
It's 'cause
You
it's my-
first.
You first, Wayne.
Got
Well,
something
you
in the
took your
mail.
time to grow your hair.
You
What the
guess what
fuck
this
is
might
that,
be?
Wayne?
Guess
No,
what could this possibly be?
Ghost?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce? No, it's not hot sauce. It is the new King Diamond figure.
No,
Yeah,
I
pretty
didn't.
cool.
What?
That is cool.
Why does he have two of the same heads in it?
They're different heads. One's like a
Oh,
with his mouth open. the
oh,
other
okay. I
with his
couldn't see
teeth.
it from a distance.
Yeah.
That's so weird that King Diamond is now so mainstream that he has action
I
figures
know,
that
isn't it
are
insane?
marketable.
Is he really mainstream? I mean, accepted,
Apparently,
yeah, but mainstream, no.
but Lou,
I'm not
he's
gonna hear him on the radio. That's
well, yeah, that's true. But him either solo and his band must sell enough where someone said, let's make an action figure. It's marketable.
Super Seven's been
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of metal bands and stuff like that lately. So
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense for an Alice Cooper or Jimi Hendrix or Kurt Cobain or whatever. You know what I mean? Randy
we have enough of
Rhoads.
those, though. We have enough. We need more King Diamond. That's the second King Diamond figure now, so we need more. That's the very early version of Merciful Fate King Diamond, and last one was like the middle version. And hopefully they do a new one. I'm hoping they actually do like every single version of King Diamond. That would be kind of cool. But I don't think
Yeah,
they'll be able to do the one makeup where Gene Simmons sued him. So
Which is
ridiculous.
ridiculous. Yeah.
So that sucks.
Well, before you move on, did you guys know that Merciful Fate was a group called the Brats? I didn't know that till not that long ago. They actually put out an album called The
Yeah,
Brats.
Apparently, you haven't watched my King Diamond podcast. I
No, I've
talked
not
all about
watched that because you guys go into the weeds about things.
Yeah, of
Dad.
course. We started from
Yeah,
the
well,
very
what
early
did you-
beginnings.
It's the one show that does go into the weeds of King Diamond, and it does fulfill a niche market.
No, I watched one because I didn't watch from the beginning because I didn't know it was oh God, I don't remember what it was. It was one of the latter albums. It was the last one that you guys did, whatever album that was. And you
House
had
of God.
Puppet Master.
I think it was Puppet Master, and you had the blues singer girl. What's her name?
Oh yeah, Lisa.
Oh,
Mann.
Lisa Mann.
Yeah. And and between Lisa and Greg and I mean, I felt like I was watching somebody do their doctorate on King Diamond. No, it was amazing. I don't know, Lou, if you were on it. I don't remember, or if you watched it, Lou, but
No, I love King Diamond and Merciful Fate, but to have me on the show would be an insult to King Diamond and Merciful Fate fans because I am not as committed to the Coven as Greg and Wayne are, and I feel bad about that. But it's just I was a Maiden kid growing up. That was my metal band.
well, I love Merciful Fate and I like King Diamond, but I didn't get into the stories. I knew it was a story, but I kind of didn't pay attention to it, Abigail and all of those. So anyway, Wayne, I did not know that till recently.
I listen to it now, but I just feel like, well, these guys have put more years into the game being King Diamond and Merciful Fate fans. So, I wouldn't want to insult anyone. That's what it is.
Yeah, I would have felt the same way. I couldn't have done that show. Anyway, Wayne.
But we are going to do a trivia show, which you will be a part of whenever we get to that.
That's fine.
I'm waiting for
What
Greg.
else?
Greg keeps fucking that up. The Memento Mori talking about King Diamond members.
Oh my
Oh, I
god!
got that. That's
No, that's
Candlemass
got Candlemass
singer.
members on
Candlemass,
there.
Yeah.
Candlemass and Snowy Shore, the drummer. He was in. Merciful
Yeah.
Fate.
There is
They
a
did what,
killer.
3 albums, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's the only one I found. That is the only one I've ever found.
They
There
actually
is a
these are
killer
all-
cover.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, Wayne, you go ahead.
They've just this is a reissue, so now they're all
Are they
being-
reissued the other 2?
Yes, they are. They're actually
Okay.
they should be out. The guy got this from Heavy Metal Museum. He just had this one so far, but he will have the other one. So go
All
ahead,
right, cool. What were we
There's
gonna
a
say about
killer
it, Lou?
cover. There's a killer cover on that album of Lost Horizons from Michael Schenker Group.
Uh-huh.
I think that's one of the best cover songs of any song I ever heard. So very highly recommended.
It is on there. And that's the first time I heard it. I mean, I haven't listened to it yet, but it's the first time I'm going to listen to it. I still buy these guys' albums, even though they're not that great. But Virgin Steel, the latest album.
The only Virgin Steel I have is on vinyl.
I'm
The first
nodding.
one was the first one is the only one I have.
The first one.
Yeah, it's on vinyl. It's just with the
The one with the
fucking-
sword.
Yeah. No. That's number 2. It's got some stupid ass drawing of
Oh, it looks like a weird spaceship or something, maybe.
Yeah, I
or
can't.
some
Yeah,
kind
I
of-
have it at
think
home.
know
I
what
bought
you're
it.
talking
I bought it recently for like $7 because I never bought a Virgin Steel album.
about. Yeah,
Um,
they changed
Probably
a
if I
lot.
heard it in 1982, I would have liked it more. It's not bad, but you know. Anyway, sorry.
Their middle albums are like really good, but then when we get to like the later stuff, they record all their stuff on like at home, I guess, like like we do with our band, but
Yeah.
they make the drummer use like an electronic drum set. But with today's technology, you can take those drum sounds and make it sound like a real drum set, but they just don't. And it kind of annoys me a little bit because I'd rather hear it, at least make it sound like a real drum set, like, make me believe it's not a electronic kit. That's just me though. I'm a drummer. I hate
No, that makes sense. Lou, are you familiar with these cats?
Virgin Steel.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with them. I actually heard about them for the first time ever in 1996, summertime. I was in Greece, and the Greeks, they love their power metal.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it's a stereotype that stands true to this day. It was there that I discovered Blind Guardian and a bunch of other bands, but I never really got into Virgin Steel. But I'm
They
not
sing a lot
insulting them,
of
it's just-
stuff about Greek gods and all that stuff, so you might like them.
Yeah, listen. That's like saying a person of Hispanic origin eats arroz con pollo because it's part of their culture.
Is that true?
It's like
Manny? Oh wait, you're
Well, it is part of the Colombian Puerto Rican culture. Yes, Lou. Or Wayne. So
but what if you're vegan? What if you're vegan? Then you're eating, Impossible chicken.
that would not sound good in Spanish, just to let you know.
You're right.
Yeah. But
Pollo
Virgin
imposible.
How would you say impossible chicken in Spanish?
Pollo
imposible.
Exactly. There
Oh,
you
you
go.
were right. Wow.
Yeah. But
I'm
Virgin
try
Steel.
lingual.
I thought you were bi. Fifth Angel, When Angels Kill.
Vicarious.
This is the new Fifth Angel album. Haven't heard it yet, but sounds really
Oh,
cool.
brand spanking new.
Brand spanking new, just came out.
Yeah. Is Ken Murray still in it?
Yes, he is. Yep.
You know who Ken Murray played with, right? All right, let's move on.
Yeah, Flotsam
You
and
know,
Jetsam.
Lou. You don't know who he,
Jetson.
Somebody else?
Alice Cooper. He's on Raise
Oh,
Your
yeah,
Fist
that's
and
right.
Yell.
Yep. That's
You
true.
guys disappoint me.
I forgot
Go
about
ahead.
that. Yeah.
So
I
did
wasn't
Alice.
keen
That's
on
why
that
we
album.
formed Fifth Angel. Anyway, go ahead.
I wasn't keen on that album. I preferred Constrictor better.
Yeah.
Rockology by Eric
Yeah,
Carr.
Eric Carr.
You found that? How much did you pay?
Maybe $20.
$1
or
million.
so, something like $20 or so, somewhere around.
I tried to get that on. I didn't go on Record Store Day, and everywhere sold out, especially vinyl. But that's a
It-
reissue, though, guys. Right?
no, this is
Yeah.
Oh wait, is it? A
No, that
reissue?
is.
Or
It
this
is a
the-
reissue because that was originally released on Spitfire back in 2000.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I think it's
And
called
the cover of
Rockology.
it, yes, and the cover of it was a picture of Eric Carr from the Japanese tour,
yeah.
hovering over his drum riser. It's not bad. I mean, first of all, if that album showcases anything, Eric Carr is the most underutilized member of Kiss ever because he had some great hooks and melodies, and
Yeah,
he
he
was my
did.
favorite drummer in Kiss.
Well, same here. I hate saying that because I like so many dead people. So I hate, in a way, I hate saying he's, but he was. I have the original. I agree with you, Lou. It's really for diehard fans, but
But what, Manny? You're
rejected. I'm
frozen.
assuming they read. Oh,
He froze.
sorry. Am I unfrozen now?
You're good now. You're good now.
Okay.
Yes.
Your hair's distracting me. No, I was going to say that
I'll get it. I'll put it next week.
I agree with Lou that it shows that Eric Carr's potential as a songwriter. Actually, he was a songwriter. It wasn't potential. Because a lot of those songs, they're a little rough, at least in the version I have. But a lot of those songs are better than the songs that ended up on the actual albums. And the only conclusion I can come up with is that Gene and Paul rejected them because they didn't have songwriting credit on it. I really don't know. I'm speculating. I don't know.
You're possibly right because I don't even think Bruce Kulick has a sole writing credit on a Kiss album. I think they're all co-written with either Gene with either Gene or Paul. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Greg is still having a problem getting in here.
So, all right, man. We're still BSing.
We'll be here. We'll be here. We're not going nowhere. We talked about this in the chat. KXM. I saw this at FYE, and they had it all autographed and everything, so I had to buy that, which I did not
So
know. I actually
you actually have a George Lynch album.
I
Huh.
do. Well, I have a Dokken single, so I guess I've had one for a while, but now I have one that he actually like a whole album of George Lynch.
That's actually, I actually like that project a lot. They've got 3 albums, got them all 3. I just bought them all at once, like a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
I
King
actually
Lex
like
is
him
actually
very.
coming here. I think, shit, maybe tomorrow or sometime like very soon. I'm very tempted to go, but I probably won't.
Well, excellent choice. And Lou, if you haven't
Yeah.
heard it, I think you dig it as a guitar player, you know.
I dig the first 2.
Oh, so you already knew
Oh,
about
so
it.
he already
Okay.
knows.
Yeah.
The new Black Star Riders. I don't know if you guys are into them.
I am,
know-
but that's without Scott Gorham in the band now.
Yeah, he left.
Yeah,
right?
who plays guitar now, Wayne or Lou?
I don't know.
Not
I'll
sure.
I'll open it and find out. But got time.
It's probably, I know the guy from the Almighty's still in it, the singer.
Yeah, he's still.
I
Yeah,
don't own any of
Ricky
those.
Warwick.
I don't own any of those Black Star Riders. I keep meaning to, but I never picked them up yet. You got any,
I
Lou,
did
yet?
see them. No, but I did see them open for Priest and Saxon at the Nassau Coliseum on St. Patty's Day in 2018.
Oh wow,
And
that's a cool day.
they were awesome. It was, I mean, the Black Star Riders, their songs are very reminiscent of Thin Lizzy. You know, they have the same heart. I was kind of disappointed that the only song that they did play from Lizzy on that tour was Whiskey in the Jar. I would have much preferred Emerald personally, but you know, great live band. It was great to see Scott Gorham live. And I think Damon Johnson, formerly of Brother Kane, was his co-guitarist at the time.
Christian Martucci. So whoever that is, I don't know.
Who the
Oh,
f-
he was in, or he may still be in Stone Sour with Corey Taylor.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So he's a somebody. Okay.
You know, it's always
Well, if you call being in a band with Corey Taylor being a somebody, then
Well,
that's your prerogative.
Stone Sour sold a lot of albums. I mean,
yeah. I think
um,
that's right.
yeah.
The name of
According
this
to
band-
Chad Kruger, they're Nickelback Jr.
the name of this band
He's
kind of
not
bothered
completely
me a little bit.
wrong.
True. What's that, Wayne?
The name of this band kind of bothered me a little bit, and I didn't really catch on until somebody kind of pointed it out. Black Star Rider, and they're
Okay.
affiliated with Thin Lizzy, and Phil Lynott was a Black Star.
I never thought of that.
They're riding on
just-
the coattails of Thin Lizzy, of Phil Lynott.
Okay, that was definitely not on purpose. I don't think they would.
I don't think they would.
Not
do
everyone
that.
thinks of race, Wayne.
That's not me. That's somebody else mentioned that. So and I'm like, maybe.
Why didn't they call it Irish Star Rising then?
Some-
Because
Okay.
I believe
There's
Phil
only one
saw
Irishman
himself.
in the band.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But I thought that Phil, if you listen to those lyrics, more I mean, when we say black, we usually think African American, but I mean, there are a lot of songs about his Irish roots and Irish legends, and he was definitely an Irishman through and through. No,
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
He identified more as an Irishman than as a black Irishman. So
Yeah.
well, that makes sense.
I
yeah.
meant to
Maybe
mention
not
this
Spanish,
before.
but identify myself as an American. Spanish, I'm Spanish, but I'm American. It makes
America.
sense.
Fuck yeah. Colin Madden said before, Impossible Chicken is a great band name.
Nah.
Well, that was the original name for Severed Angels, so too bad we dumped it.
Maybe that will be the third album's name.
Well, I'm glad that you guys would have been confused with Sammy Hagar's Chicken Foot Project. So.
We don't talk about Chickenfoot.
Soil Work. I didn't know this came out last year. I can't pronounce this. Over Given Headen or whatever the hell it's called. I can't see it. That's
I'm over giving head. Oh, then dump
something
it.
like that. I don't know, but I didn't know that was out, so it was on sale.
Well, neither did Soil Work. Anyway, go ahead.
Greta Van Fleet, the latest album. And actually, Manny, you got this before I did.
I like it, actually. I like it a
You like
lot.
A lot
Yeah.
of people saying they like this one the best so far, but I don't know. I heard
Well,
one listen and
it-
it's like, okay, it's not.
It's still got the Led Zeppelin classic rock thing to it, but
They're drifting
they've
away
got
from
their
it.
own sound.
They do. By now they have
Yeah.
their own.
I would recommend if you guys, if it's a good enough price and you guys should see him live. I saw him live and because I have a good friend who she really loves him. She's my age. And like Tony Dio said when he was on, I think he saw him too. There are a lot of people our age, but up front, there are a lot of young people, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they bridge generations. I think a lot has to do with that Led Zeppelin-ish sound,
Yeah.
which is funny because if you guys remember Kingdom Come or even Whitesnake, they got shit on for that. Now Greta Van Fleet is praised for the very same reason.
Well, I
other
think that
bands-
was because Led Zeppelin was still pretty prominent during that time as well. Now
Well,
Led
yeah.
Zeppelin is really kind of, yeah, they're done. You know, they're not.
Well, yeah, and
playing anymore.
they're a classic rock band. I mean, it's
Yeah.
past. Yeah.
Exactly. Blur put out a new album called The Ballad of Darren. I was hoping to really like this album, but it's really, I don't know. I mean, maybe I need to give it some more chances, but so far only like one song on here.
Never got into Blur. I was.
Oh, I love that.
I know you like Britpop, and that's fine. I mean, I
Mhm.
love Oasis, but
So yeah.
I was more of a fan of Damon Albarn's Gorillaz project than I
Oh, I
was
didn't
Blur.
like that. I was so pissed off.
I love it because I love old school hip hop. So
Yeah. Nah, they fucking annoyed the shit out of me because I wanted to know the Blur album because I hated Think Tank, and then they came out with the Gorillas, and I was like, oh god, it's just getting worse. King Diamond, the complete box set of all the reissues.
Don't you have all that?
Yeah, so what?
you know how many versions of the same album he has? Look at that collection back there.
I know, but there can't be that many repeats back there. I know how Halloween probably got-
actually the repeats are on this shelf right here. These are the repeats.
Ah,
This the first three shelves are kind of like the reissues and stuff like that.
Well, I'm like Wayne. I'll buy some reissues, but
But these were cool. These are all.
I mean, I think that's a cool box set.
it
Don't get me
is.
wrong.
It is a very
Yeah.
cool box set, and it's got all the
I mean-
albums on here up till.
Is that Merciful Fate too? Huh?
It's both. It's both of them. That's why I wanted to get it. Up to the In Concert '87 Abigail was like the last Roadrunner release.
Oh, okay.
So that's what's all in this box is Roadrunner and Metal Blade stuff.
Yeah,
I wanted
I've got quite a few of them, but I'm missing a lot too.
And these I got a couple weeks ago actually, but I never even showed them. I think you got them too. The Alice Cooper Killer and the School's Out.
Oh, I have
These are
those, yeah.
reissues, remasters and whatever. Pretty cool. They got the bonus tracks and stuff on them, and you know they're really nice looking.
Well, it's cool, Lou. I don't know if you're a fan of the original Alice Cooper band, and if you
Yeah.
collect physical medium, it's really cool because you know they don't. It's hard to even find Alice Cooper bootlegs, you know, and really great performances. So it's something worth getting if you see it cheap enough.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. I'm just I'm at a point right now where it's like if I buy a physical copy of something, it's got to be something I really want to have in my collection because of the scarcity of it, meaning I can't find it on any streaming media platform. But although I am still an advocate for buying physical media, but you know, we just had to drop a shit ton of money. Our washer and dryer died, so
Oh,
you know,
nice. Congratulations.
hey. So
Hey, I
thank
get
you,
it, Lou.
PC Richards, for your awesome stock in Samsung. We appreciate it.
It's so hard to buy new anything, but especially a washer and dryer. I always see people complaining about new washers and dryers. I have
You
an
know-
old one. Ours are from like maybe like the early maybe 2000s or whatever, or maybe
Uh-huh.
even earlier than that, and it's still going.
You know what the funny thing is? I bought an 8-year warranty on both the washer and dryer,
Hmm.
and when the repairman, when comes in to bring him down and replace them, he says, "Oh yeah, you'll get about 7 years out of this thing." I said, "I got an 8-year warranty plan on it." Like, what the fuck you mean 7 years? God damn it!
You know who I blame?
Who?
Jim Cornette. I don't know. Who do you blame?
No, I blame Metallica. Lou,
Ah.
you saw Metallica this week.
Yeah, Lou, tell us about Metallica.
Well, before I do that, I did get 2 CDs in the mail since the
Oh, you
last time we spoke. I just don't have them on hand. But growing up, I was always a fan of the band Wall of Voodoo, and both their incarnations with Standard Ridgway as a singer and Andy Preboy as a singer. So again, the what I mentioned before, when media is unavailable on streaming, I'll actually look for a physical copy of it. Well, their records were released on IRS records back in the day, which, as anyone who's an industry insider knows, IRS was distributed by Universal, which, as everyone knows, the Universal Library caught on fire many years ago. So there's no more future pressings of past Wall of Voodoo records because, they don't exist anymore. So thankfully on Discogs, I was able to find physical copies of the 2 albums they did with Andy Preboy, 7 Days in Sammy's Town and Happy Planet. So I really love those albums. So I dig it. It's not metal, but Wall of Voodoo was a new wave band that experimented with like Ennio Morricone, spaghetti Western type sounds. So they were pretty dark, and I loved that about them. So I'm happy to say that I own those CDs in my collection now. So on to the Metallica concert. So yes, first of all, I was not going to drop $250 to $300 for both nights. I have no desire to ever see Ice Nine Kills or Five Finger Death Punch. So I only went to the Friday one where Mammoth, WVH, Wolfgang Van Halen's band, and Pantera Legacy. I'm not calling it Pantera, it's Pantera Legacy, opened up for Metallica. Wolf was awesome. Him and his band, for the 35-40 minutes they were on stage, I there's one complaint that I'm hearing from people about his music is that it's too generic. Yeah. And I'm like, I disagree with that, because live it came off so good. I thought it came off really good. I actually went back and listened to the records and have a newfound appreciation for them, for how they came off live. And it's funny because, Wayne, I'm sure you're familiar with this. On Twitter, he gets into these like humorous Twitter battles with these idiots that will tell him, stop living on your dead father's last name. Jesus Meanwhile, Christ. How can he help it? He's a Van Halen.
Right.
Or, why aren't you playing any Van Halen covers? I'm like, bro, talk about having your cake and eating it too. Like, let the kid do what he wants. Yeah. But I will say this. He played his ass off, and he's not his father. Absolutely not. But where he is like his father is his master of the instruments, his mastering of the guitar. So Mammoth WVH was the best opening act that I have seen in a very, very long time. So I got to give them props. They get a 10 out of 10. Pantera Legacy. I walked into it incredibly skeptical. I was like, how is Phil going to be able to pull this off, considering the amount of cigarettes he smokes on the daily, and considering the fact that his voice is much deeper? And look, he's not the young, brash New Orleans teen that he was when he sang Cemetery Gates. That's why they didn't play it that night. But I will say this.
I'm surprised.
Charlie Benante, well, they did do a nice video tribute to Diamond Vinny with the beginning of Cemetery Gates. So that was pretty cool. Charlie Benante destroyed the drums. I mean, and I am not really a Zakk Wylde fan. Like, I appreciate what he's contributed, but give me Randy or Jake any day of the week before Zakk. But Zakk did a great job honoring Dimebag, and the band was really, really tight. So Pantera Legacy, it was great to hear those songs again. Pantera was my first concert ever when I saw them with Deftones and Sabbath, so I'm glad I got to see them on this Legacy tour. 10 out of 10. Now, Metallica.
Before we get to Metallica, apparently Overkill played in the parking lot
on the Sunday. On Friday, it was Prong.
Really?
Oh, did you get to see it or no?
No, because getting to Jersey from the Bronx sucked ass. I hated that experience, and trying to get back from it was even harder because of all the freaking traffic on the GW Bridge.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Um, now Metallica. Now I know it was pretty brutal on 72 Seasons. I'm happy to say that I when I did say that I would give those songs a chance live, that I would be open-minded about it. And yeah, those songs came off good live.
Mm.
I'll give them that. So, it's not that I'm rethinking, my opinion on the album, but I will give it another listen, more open-minded this time. But they came out, the music that blasted was Long Way to the Top by AC/DC.
Mm.
Then they did The Ecstasy of Gold into Creeping Death, my all-time favorite Metallica song, as the opening act. We did not get Enter Sandman.
Oh, thank God.
Which I want to say thank you, Metallica, because I didn't want to hear Enter Sandman for the millionth time.
Yeah.
I can remember what they did. They did Seek and Destroy off the first album, off Ride the Lightning. They did Fade to Black, which sounded beautiful, and Creeping Death. Off Master, they did Battery, Master of Puppets, and Orion. They ended up doing Welcome Home on the Sunday, but I wasn't there. They did Harvester of Sorrow, which I was not expecting.
Wow.
And that was a real cool treat. Off the Black Album, they did Sad But True, Holier Than Thou, and Nothing Else Matters. Load, they did King Nothing. Reload, they did Fuel. And The Day That Never Comes off Death Magnetic. So I'm glad we did not get anything off Saint Anger or Lulu for that matter. And, the 4 songs off 72 Seasons. Don't ask me which ones they are because I don't remember the titles. But you can go on setlist.fm and you can find out for yourself. But yeah. And James had just turned 60 the day before.
Oh, wow.
Let me just say this. People want to poo-poo Metallica. Selloutica, whatever. They've been doing this 40 years. You go see them live. This band has not fucking slowed down one iota. Not one fucking iota. And I will fucking take that to the grave. 10 out of 10. The best concerts I've seen in a long ass time, where I could say the opening act, the co-headliner and the headliner destroyed the stadium. So yeah, it was awesome. Glad I went.
Very cool. I wanted to go see the thing. They're broadcasting the Texas shows in the movie theaters. I was thinking of going to see that, but
I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah.
So
if tickets are still available, I have no idea, but it'd be a cool thing to watch.
Yeah, I would watch them.
Colin
I
Madden,
never remember about those things. Anyway.
Yeah, Colin Madden. He had no idea Wall of Voodoo was so deep. He only knew Mexican radio.
Oh no.
No, Mark. Pre-Boy passed away, but
no, not Pre-Boy.
Not Pre-Boy.
Wait. No, I think it was Bruce Moreland, the guitarist.
No, we'd have to. All I know is that, hold on, I got to look it up, but Concrete Blonde's one of my favorite bands. Not just a metal, and alternative rock or whatever you call them.
No, they're good.
That's why I hate fucking labels, because, but that song, Joey, their most famous song.
It was about Bruce Moreland.
Okay. All right. Because Joanette Naplatona had a relationship with him. So.
No, I'm sorry. I think Bruce was the bassist. Mark was the guitarist. That's who it was about. And he passed away. I think he OD'd, unfortunately. Pretty dark and heavy.
Yeah, and that song is great. And that's what made me check out Wall of Voodoo, because like the commentator there, all I knew was Mexican radio, I'm on the Mexican radio. And I saw him as a novelty act, like I'm assuming probably the guy that made that comment. But yeah, they were a lot more than that. They were actually, in my opinion, innovative. But I didn't know that for years. They, by the time I got into them, they left, they already had left the stage, so to speak. They were over.
Yeah, I mean, their whole thing was like combining, like like I said, Ennio Morricone type spaghetti western influences with like some crazy, almost noise rock type influences, but coming out with something very melodic and very wow, that was interesting. I guess you could say pre-boy, his lyrics, they were more streamlined, more mainstream,
Yeah.
but there's still some really dark overtones in there, especially on 7 Days in Sammy's Town. And
Well, you can definitely hear his life experience, negative or whatever, in it, and he was a true artist. I mean, they all were, but
yeah,
yeah.
and it's funny because hold on a second, I'll check out their catalog. Love Morricone. Also check out Standard Ridgeway's debut solo album, the one with the song Camouflage on it. It's really cool. But they what I want to say about Wall of Voodoo is that their first album with Pre-Boy, don't dig too deep into it because you're going to come out a completely different person. Like he's a great singing voice, but it puts it this way. I was like 10 when I first heard it, and like it still haunts me as I listen to it today. Like I could see the kind of influence that it would have over like modern, dark wave bands like the Birthday Massacre. But it's just a shame that IRS never gave them the push that they gave REM, if they even gave any of their bands a push.
I don't think they gave any.
Remember the Tony Martin Black Sabbath era?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't sound anything like Joy Division, but they remind me of that in the way that you listen to it. Those Wall of Voodoo albums, and like Joy Division, in a way, I feel like I'm invading somebody's privacy. Like I'm opening their diary and reading it. And again, maybe I'm reading too much into Joy Division because of the tragedy of Ian Curtis, but that's kind of,
yeah. I mean, I discovered Joy Division when I was I guess I was 13 because Nine Inch Nails covered them on the Crow soundtrack with Dead Souls.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was, I thought Trent's version was really dark and creepy, but then I heard Joy Division's and I'm like, this is disturbing. I like it. I was a troubled youth, Wayne.
Sounds like it. Catman's in the chat. He says, glad to see you live. Glad to see you live here in the chat. Everybody's in chat. And we actually got 6 people watching the show right now. So that's
wow.
pretty cool.
Peter Chris is in the chat.
No. Yeah, he might be.
Nah, just kidding. IRS was Miles Copeland. Yes, he was.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that.
Well, I'm going to mention an artist before we move to the main topic. So it was announced today that Robbie Robertson of the band passed away. I know that is not the type of music we talk about, but I was a fan of the band. And, it's funny because they're Canadian. I didn't realize that is when I was growing up till later. And yet they kind of, in a way, invented the genre of Americana music, when you think of Wilco and you think of Sunvolt and other bands that sound nothing like it. They definitely were very influential. And Robbie Robertson was an interesting lyricist because, on Facebook, I put the night the old Dixie died, So here's a Canadian artist writing from a viewpoint of a Southern soldier who was just defeated and, by the North. I always thought that was interesting. And that's not the only song. They were very interested in American Southern mythology. And of course, they brought back Bob Dylan at the famous Newport Festival when Bob Dylan went electric. Anyway, Robbie Robertson was 80 years old. It was a life well lived and a true artist. And I was a fan. So may you rest in peace.
Absolutely. The Wait is one of my favorite songs from that era. I mean, unlike Stairway to Heaven or Enter Sandman, I could hear that song a million times a day and not get sick of it.
Again, interesting lyric. I walked into Nazareth and, there was Satan and Carrie walking walking side by side. And then, can you watch can you find a place? I don't know, but friend here it's just interesting lyrics, Robbie Robertson, for sure.
I have a funny story about that though. So like, my daughter's name is Anna. One of my
Right.
nicknames for her is Annie. So, we're listening to the song on Alexa while we're having breakfast. And I say, take a load off Annie. And then she sings back, take a load off Daddy. I'm like, wait a minute. So thank you, Robbie Robinson, for giving me a beautiful memory with my daughter. Appreciate it.
And Robbie Robinson would appreciate that. So, and I don't even know the guy, but good stuff. So Wayne, if you ever get into that kind of music, music from the Big Pink or the self-titled would be recommended. All right, Wayne.
Check it
Are
out.
you?
Catman says, "Hey, Marty Friedman is in the room." They must be talking about you, Manny.
No, he's referring to you.
Me, I'm not.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at that Marty Friedman
Marty
hairstyle.
Friedman had
That
like a
hair
5
itself
head.
is a symphony of destruction.
Colin Mann says CCR and the band really laid the foundation for Americana or roots rock.
give it that.
I don't disagrey with that. I can dig that.
Would
I
you
like
say
CCR.
Tom Petty took it to the mainstream though? Like really in overdrive kind of?
I would, but I'm not putting down Tom Petty. I'm a fan. I don't think it was as pure as the band. And CCR were interesting because again, they're a California band and they had the swampy sound. But in my opinion, out of all the bands of the 60s, and I'm talking, and my favorite band is The Doors, but Jefferson
I
Airplane.
didn't know that.
I know, it's shocking. Grateful Dead, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I think CCR, in my opinion, we'd have to ask someone who grew up in the 60s, but I think they captured that generation better than anybody else lyrically, musically, and everything, in my opinion.
My
So,
grandpa loved them. Every time when actually in this garage here, he would write the room right over in the
Yeah.
basement. He had his record player and everything else, and we would come down here and he would show me records and stuff like that, and it was always CCR.
By the
Yeah,
way,
how many- go
sorry,
ahead.
Manny,
Lou.
go ahead. Go, you first.
No, you go, Lou.
No, I was going to say, because you mentioned Jefferson Airplane, that kind of reminds me. I just returned to the stage on Saturday as a guitarist for my friend Moore Corin Schwartz and her More Top 40 band. Now, when I say Top 40, don't get it
Mhm.
twisted. We're not doing every other cover song that every band out there does. So don't expect to hear Mustang Sally or, anything by No Doubt. Well, maybe later on down the line, but we played selections from Pat Benatar, Heart. We did Scorpions. We did Ozzy, and we played in front of a great crowd at a venue called Rock City Dogs in Bayshore, New York, and it was a blast. It was good to be back on stage performing again, and thank you to Moore and Jason for having me be part of it. And good job to the rhythm section, Matt Marks on drums and John Rodriguez in bass. And looks like there's more opportunities for us to play out. So no, I'm not leaving Severed
I
Angel,
was just gonna
but
say, it sounds like you're cheating on Seven Angel. There.
So
like cheating
it's a
on you with a
female
cover band.
vocalist, right? It's
I like cheating on you with a cover band.
Terrible. I don't remember even anybody asking me, "Hey, you want to do a cover band?" That's all right.
Well,
You don't
because
even
of the
like to
hair.
go to rehearsal.
I don't even like doing this fucking podcast,
There you go.
especially with
So-
you.
So
Wait,
she,
I hate myself too. Come on, we got something in common.
Now I even
You
hate
have
you
a-
even more with that beard. What?
you have a
Manny?
female
What?
vocalist, right, Lou?
Yes, more. She's phenomenal. She's from Israel originally, and we met through our friend Doc Reinhardt. Doc said that she needed a guitarist for an outdoor gig that she was doing, and thankfully I knew the stuff, and there was instant chemistry.
Must have
So
been desperate.
yeah, pretty much.
Well, I saw you post on Facebook, and if I had lived anywhere near where you're at, I would have loved to attend that.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I
It was
live right around the
great.
corner, I didn't go.
Love you too, Wayne. Kiss my ass.
All right,
All
Ray.
right, let's get this goddamn show on the road here because
Jesus
too
Christ!
much.
It's only been 50
Hey,
minutes. Go ahead.
content. Come on, let's do
That's
this.
all it is, and we need the views to go up a little bit, which is actually going up, and we're at 1,060 subscribers. So
Thank you, everybody.
really cool. And
Oh
you
yeah, I
need to-
forgot to unsubscribe. Thank you, Wayne.
please do that now. Unsubscribe. Everybody unsubscribe.
Don't say that shit. Anyway,
Well, hey, we made it to 1,000. I that's my goal. We're done.
Get political. They'll unsubscribe.
Yeah.
we're not doing that.
No, we did that already.
Yeah, we did.
The right opinion.
Today's show, we're going to be talking about the albums that got us into our favorite bands. So I'll go first. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go with Sabotage, Hole of the Mountain King. Actually, the first song I heard of Sabotage was the song Sirens on a college radio. So I went to a music store that I would go to all the time and looking for some Sabotage, and they had this and they had Dead Winter Dead. And I think I grabbed this first. And I was like, damn it, that song Sirens isn't on here, but holy shit, every single song is fucking awesome. 24 Hours Ago, Beyond the Doors of the Dark, Legion, Strange Ways, Hole of the Mountain King, which is probably one of my favorite Sabotage songs. The Price You Pay, White Witch, Last Dawn, Devastation. Just this whole entire album is just fucking one good song after the other. And if you have not heard it, what the fuck are you doing watching the show? Because you should have heard this by now, right?
Yep.
What?
Luke, go first. I was
No,
gonna say,
Manny. I was going to give you the cock of the walk. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, if you do,
Are you laughing at cock?
Of course, I'm like
Okay.
a 10-year-old. Anyway, go ahead.
If you do like Sabotage, do get these reissues, the vinyl reissues, really cool, and they come with like sometimes extra, like 7-inch vinyl with some maybe like a B-side or whatever. Really cool stuff.
Now,
Well, they're
if you've
for-
never listened to Sabotage, what album would you recommend you start out with?
This one, Hole of the
That
Mountain
one
King.
actually, Lou. That one right
Okay,
there.
I'll start with that then.
But Lou, they're from Tampa, and I used to
Let's
see
start
them
with
all.
that one.
I used
I've
to see
never
them
really
all the
listened to
time.
Sabotage.
Well, they're from Tampa.
Hey,
and I
at
used to
least
see
I'm
them all the
honest.
time.
Oh, you could have lied to me.
Oh no, baby, I will never lie to you.
You could have lied. You just broke my heart.
Would you rather I say, "Oh yeah, I listen to them all the time," and I can
Yes,
total
and then when the
poser?
show was over, I'm sorry, I don't even know who they are. You know, lie at least lie on the show.
No, I
Look
believe
at
in
the
full
chat now. Get
transparency.
Lou off the show. He doesn't know who Sabotage is. That's terrible.
Well, they're
Yeah,
from
that's
Tampa.
right
so I
between the CCR post and the Merciful Fate post.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry,
hit it.
Wayne. Go,
I hit it. So you
Manny,
didn't
go
have to see
ahead.
No, I was just going to say they're from Tampa, so I used to see them live all the time. And we were at the record release for that one at this place called Masquerades, which is this big venue. It was really cool, but it was kind of funny because Chris Olivia, who's passed away, he was a very nice guy, but John would act like a rock star, you know.
Oh yeah, he still
And-
does.
Well, he was looking back, you know, everyone said he was fat, but he wasn't really that big
No, he
compared
is
to what
now.
he became. Yeah, he is now. But they were great live, and anytime they played, it was like this big event. But once they got Zach in there, I never saw him live locally again. No reason, because I actually like those albums, and they used to have a bass player named Keith Collins.
Mm.
And he formed this band called Keith Collins Crunch, which
Mm.
sucked. But I went go see him, and he gave me the 45 of his band, and I wish I still had it, but literally it was bad marketing. Keith Collins with a K, Crunch with a K. You understand why it went nowhere now, guys? You know,
I might have. I might understand that a little bit.
you can find their videos on YouTube. I don't recommend it. But anyway.
I mean,
I'm
I've
sure he's
always
a
wondered
nice
with a band like Jimmy Eat World, when you use the acronym for that, you know, does that give off bad vibes? Because they're not a religious group.
No.
I'm glad Manny got
I
it.
never
Okay.
thought about that till just now.
Because I was like, you know, someone asked
I
me-
didn't think about that either.
Yeah, I know.
somebody asked me, it's like, what's your favorite Jimmy Eat World album? I said, oh, my favorite JEW album is Bleed American. And they said, I'm sorry, did you say Jew? I'm like, I think I did.
Oh man.
I
think
A lot
I
of,
did.
bands need to really think about their names.
Well,
You
I
know,
don't think Keith Collins thought about it.
I
I
don't
mean,
think so either.
obviously, he was just thinking, "Oh, that sounds cool." Crunch, not really, but
Yeah,
I'm
not
just
really.
thinking, yeah.
Like I was going through, like there's a new show, everybody. I've been doing a new show. I just started the other day, and it's kind of rough, but I'm gonna fix it and make it a little bit better. But I'm gonna go through all the press releases that I get like every single day. So I'll try to go through as much as I can. One band I came across today, I think it's called Ranas or whatever. It's called Kin Wagon. What the hell is a kin wagon?
That's where you throw your dead kin in. Why, bring out your dead. Why, here's grandma. Let's throw her in with the kin wagon.
It
The
actually doesn't sound that
wagon's
bad.
driven by the Kinslayer, so they must be Nightwish fans. I don't know.
No, they're
I have no
Brazilian. They're
idea.
like a hard rock band, but that actually didn't sound too bad. But it's just bands. Think of it. You think of your name before you put it out there. Yeah, is it going to look cool next to Metallica? If it doesn't look cool next to Metallica, then it's not good. What's going on in the chat? here? 'Cause there's
just-
a lot of things. What?
I'm just waiting for someone to call a severed asshole.
Oh God! See now you put it out there, Lou. Now you put it out there.
Doesn't matter. The song's rule. Wait a minute. Who's is that? That's got to be Alex
Alex who? Catman?
Petty.
Oh yeah,
No,
probably,
because-
yes. Oh, separate. Yeah.
Hey, Alex.
Catman. He saw Merciful Fate in Quebec back in November. Quebec is one quiet place to see a show. It was literally quiet between songs. A few of those YouTube clips, I can hear myself screaming at this Toronto area guy. Interesting. In 87, Hall of the Mountain King. I'm gonna check that out. The days of hair metal. I was listening to Operation Mindcrime that year. Yeah, if you haven't heard Hall of the Mountain King, definitely check it out. And he also said Sabbath Sabotage made him dig into Sabbath, but he had sold our souls 10 years prior and chucked it.
Wow. Well, you know, Sabotage didn't fit in with.
I don't think they fit in with anybody, to be honest.
No, they didn't. Maybe Iron Maiden, but not really.
No,
They
it
did this
was-
album called Fight for the Rock, which I don't own,
Yeah.
which I don't completely hate, but back in the time, because in the day, they had one called Power of the Night. It was released by Atlanta Records, which I actually like. The only reason I don't recommend that one, Lou, is because it's really dated, but Power of the Night. And I don't know, I guess it's sold well locally, but not, internationally or whatever. So they put out this album called Fight for the Rock, where they made them a pop/hair metal band, but they gave them a lot of shit for covering Badfinger's Day After Day. They actually did a good job with it.
They did do a
But-
good job. It almost sounds like the original version. Really.
Yeah, but fans
I
back,
have
yeah, there it is.
Fight for the
But
Rock.
but fans
My
back
brother
then were
had
like,
that on cassette.
Really.
did
He
you?
did have that on cassette. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of their worst albums. It's terrible. It's
it's terrible.
it's not that bad, but it's not that good.
It's terrible by Sabotage standards.
Yeah,
How about that?
exactly.
Mm.
All right, who's next?
I do love TSO for the record. That's
Oh, this. I hope you don't change your mind now. Well, no, I hope you do change your
No,
mind. Let's
no,
say the
no.
Sabotage, but TSO sucks.
I'm not a
it's
fan
terrible.
either, Lou. Yeah, I mean,
that's my favorite Christmas event to go to. I'll take that over the Rockettes any day.
But see, you like them though because you don't know Sabotage. But I think if you knew Sabotage more, and then you saw TSO, you'd be like, they're singing Sabotage songs without the members. That
yeah,
sing
but that's
individually.
true, Wayne. But I know lots of people that I
I know
work
lots-
with. Oh,
Yeah.
I love TSO, and they don't like heavy metal or anything that even smacks of it, but they love that.
Yeah.
Now, that's
they,
not
they
you,
Didn't know,
Lou,
they
I'm
didn't know
just saying.
Sabotage. So,
No, they don't know jack shit about Sabotage.
and it pisses me off because people
Understood.
think that Sarajevo thing is
Yeah, it's
TSO,
from
Sabotage.
it's
Dead
from
Winter Dead.
Sabotage.
It's from
the
Dead Winter Dead.
Yeah,
pisses me
yeah.
off.
Which is a
Manny,
great
please,
album
you're-
too.
You go first.
Who, me? I really didn't prepare anything, but I'm just gonna go off the cuff. Where's James so he can say something? All right, well, I'm going to pick Alice Cooper's greatest hits because that was the first Alice
Alice.
Cooper. There you go. That's the first Alice Cooper album I bought, and I bought it because it had Schools Out. I didn't know any other Alice songs. Matter of fact, I was 13 and I go like, I don't know if I want to buy an album with a woman's name, the guy with a woman's name. And I knew who he was from the Muppet Show, but I didn't know musically anything about him other than Schools Out. and I told you guys, I went to this anti-rock rally, and he was one of the names on the you know, worship Satan or whatever stupid ass thing they put on there, that dumb bastard preacher. Anyway, I bought it.
Meanwhile, he's not
And-
born again Christian.
Yeah, I know, that's the irony. The first song on there was 18, and it's got this killer hook. I didn't know Alice Cooper was the name of the band. I
Right.
thought it was a solo artist still.
Yeah.
I mean, later he became one, but I really loved it. And here I am 300 years later. I'm still a major fan. But that was the beginning of my love affair with Alice Cooper, the man, and the band. And I remember looking at the cover going, why are four guys? Alice is one guy. Who are these people? I didn't know, you know.
I didn't get it either because my mother
Yeah.
always talked about Alice Cooper because she liked Alice Cooper when she was younger, and I thought it was a woman. You know, I didn't get it.
Well, I knew it wasn't a woman. A matter of fact, I was in the Bronx, at least at the time. The schools are bilingual, and I had a comic book, and in the 70s, and in there you would see ads for these cheap shirts, and one said Alice Cooper.
Mm.
And I remember when I got to Florida, I was 10. I met this girl named Alice because I'd already seen the Muppet Show.
Mm.
And I went to my friend, goes, man, why does she have a boy's name? He just looked at me. I didn't realize that. And then when I got
That's
a little
funny.
older, I got a little bit older, you know, because in New York, you know, you meet Salvadors and Marias and blah, but you know, you don't meet no
And
fucking
Jose, one
Alice.
on every block. We know.
Oh, everybody.
Yeah. But then I discovered it's a girl's name, and I thought that was really weird. Now I don't think twice about it. You know, Alice is Alice, you know. Anyway, that's my pick. Lou, you're up.
A boy named Sue. That's all I got to say to that. Thanks for sharing that story. That's cool. So originally I thought the subject was gateway albums that got us into metal. But if we're talking about the albums that got us into our favorite bands, well, I guess you could say then. All right, well, I'm going to go with the first one then. So when I was a kid, you know, when I was 4, you know, we didn't have MTV at the time, and I couldn't stay up late to watch Friday night videos on NBC. But I think at the time, ABC had a Saturday afternoon music video channel. It might have been ABC. And then all of a sudden, the first Van Halen video I saw was Jump. Now, I've told the story a bunch of times. I said what I loved the melody. I loved the hook. I love the fact that you had 4 different personalities in the band, 4 very different personalities in the band. I need to emphasize that. But what attracted me to Van Halen was the fact that Eddie Van Halen was smiling while he was playing his guitar, and I thought his smile was infectious. And I didn't really put 2 and 2 together with the two-handed tapping and all that stuff until I dug into my brother's record collection, cassette collection. And I pulled out one cassette, and you know, the front album cover is this painting called The Maze, and they only show a portion of it. I was like, this is a really weird album cover. It's almost dirty looking at it. Put it on. First thing I heard was Mean Street. And talk about two-handed tapping. The entire song, the first 30 seconds, is like this frantic two-handed tapping that Eddie's just doing up and down the fretboard. But I remember the anxiety and panic that I got from it because it reminded me so much of like the late night cop and fire truck sirens that you would hear, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then all of a sudden it breaks into this funky, dirty riff called Mean Street. And I was instantly hooked. And that album made me a Van Halen fan, and to this day, it's still my favorite album of all time. So I have to give it to Fair Warning by Van Halen.
Very
It's an
interesting.
excellent album.
I can never
Excellent
really
album.
get into that. There's a couple good songs on there, but not one of my favorites.
The first Van Halen album I owned, I already was a fan, but was Women and Children First. And the reason that was the first one I owned is because it was the cheapest one to buy. Because when you're 12, 13, you only have so much money. So I bought it brand new. It didn't come with the poster with David Lee Roth on the gate. I'm a huge David Lee Roth fan, but I'm very grateful it didn't because, I would have, yeah. But what a great album. And I didn't play music then. So, but like you, Lou, was the sound of that guitar. Um, I mean, I've heard Angus Young because I'm already Alice Cooper. I didn't hear too many bands, Black Sabbath. They're all unique. But even as a kid, I knew there was something special about Eddie Van Halen. And then, unlike Ralph, and I do like Ralph, I'm not a Sammy Hagar hater, but there was a chemistry between him and David Lee Roth that can't be denied,
Right.
Also, Michael Anthony's overlooked for sure. Those backing vocals that he did. Was he the greatest bass player? No, but he fit right in. And Alex Van Halen, underrated drummer. Anyway, great choice.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Wayne?
Wayne,
Yeah.
I could probably, I'm sorry, I just want to throw this in. Fair Warning is a real departure from Van Halen 1, 2, and Women and Children First. So I'm not expecting other people to appreciate it as much as I did. I mean, if you think about it, the first three albums sound like they could all be a part of the same album. And Fair Warning was just, I mean, Eddie's guitar never sounded deadlier than it did on that album. And those songs by nature in itself were just much darker, in terms of lyrical content than those first three albums. So yeah, I get it. It's not everyone's bag, but I love it.
Also, when I got to hear it, I think too, because I think I started listening to it after I started listening to the same Sammy Hagar Van Halen.
Oh, okay.
It's just, it was different. Catman, he saw Welcome to My Nightmare on a shelf in grade 3. He still remembers liking the fact it was risque.
Oh, that's cool. Well, Lou, you mentioned the lyrics, like even Dirty Movies. Granted, it's still got the David Lee Roth humor, but there's a darkness to it too. It's a very cynical type of humor. It's not your ha-ha, I mean, they throw in, hey, take it off, but it's really cynical, like, look what happened to this girl. And I don't think he's judging her, saying, oh, she turned to trash. He's like, it's just a very cynical viewpoint. Especially because, she was a high school prom. Anyway, Queen. Anyway, great pick, Lou.
Well, it's funny because I do know some girls that I grew up with that went that route. So
yeah,
not judging, just saying that it does happen, people. Take care of your daughters. That's all I got to say.
Colin Madden, Master of Reality, and Kiss Alive were pretty life-changing for him and made him a lifetime fan of both bands. Later on, Aja by Steely Dan turned me on to their catalog.
Wow, that's
Aja
very cool. Well, I think it's pronounced Asia, but it's what I always heard.
We actually did a show on that album. I didn't like it.
I didn't get into Steely Dan till I was in my 30s. Prior to that, I saw it as, I know old people music, which is funny because I was talking about people 30 up. Now I'm way past that, but now I like it. But then I have a lot more to draw from than I did back then, musically.
My next pick, Magnum on a Storyteller's Night. Have you guys?
That is a great album.
That is a great album.
From start to finish, man. And the only reason why I got into Magnum is because of the band Avantasia. They do a rock opera thing, and Bob, what the hell is his name? Bob,
the
singer,
the songwriter.
What the fuck
the
is
singer?
What's his name? Bob Catley. He's on Avantasia songs, and I'm like, who is this Bob Catley guy? Because he's on everything. And then I go look up, and he's in a band called Magnum. And I pick up this album first, and I'm just like, holy shit! It's just from the beginning of this album, How Far Jerusalem, just like an arrow. It's 80s, and it's a little dated, but it's good dated sounding. It's just a very good storyteller album.
Do you know how much influence I draw from that one album alone?
I had no idea.
The melodicism of that album is gorgeous. It's perfect. I love All England's Eyes. That's my Magnum track.
Wow,
that is my track.
I
Yeah.
had
Lou,
no
I'm
idea.
shocked.
I'm
I'm
shocked too.
shocked. Not that you know them, but that they were an influence on your playing. I think that's cool. I
As
had
Wayne
no
knows, I
idea.
am thank you, but I am a sucker for melody. I can't help it. You
Yeah,
know,
the two
and if
main
Mark Sandway, the keyboardist, is good enough to be in a band with Phil Lynott, he's good enough for me.
Well, they were
He
so
was the
obscure
original
in this
keyboardist in
country.
Grand Slam.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. They just kind of reissued that stuff, on like a clamshell box set for Grand Slam. I don't know if it's official or not. You know how that is. But man, that's really cool. They were so obscure in this country. Lou, how
They
did you
are.
discover Magnum?
So I used to work for Viacom back in the day. I served 11 and a half years of my life there. And
Okay.
we had MHD, which I don't know what it is right now, but it was an all live music high definition channel.
Mhm.
And we would show footage. They would actually show concert footage from Sweden Rock, and Magnum was on it. And I heard All England's Eyes first, which is why that song is so special to me, that I went back and rediscovered them. Even watching their full concert from the Camden Theater that they did in '85 for that album, and just thinking, my God, these guys are so overlooked. Like, it's very prog pop AOR, but
Yeah.
who cares? I mean, the songwriting. How did Marillion get a breakthrough and they didn't? Like I kind of I could compare them both
Yeah, I
in
can
that
see
sense,
that.
and I love Marillion, so I'm glad I discovered Magnum, albeit later than I wish I did, but I did enjoy what I heard.
And Magnum is still going today. They just released an album
Mhm.
maybe like a year or
Like
two
2
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they still constantly
There's
put out
there's two guys left, but they're the two
Yeah.
main guys.
yeah, Tony, actually Tony
The
Clark,
guitarist
the
and Bob
guitar
Kaplan.
player. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be
Yeah.
on the show at one point, but here's another guy who missed the damn interview.
Well, that's, Magnum, man, they were not, that probably would have gotten you some views. I mean, they do have a cult following.
They do.
But in this country, I don't know how well they did in England, because I know Marillion were headlining, big places, at least when Fish was in the band. I'm still a fan, even with Steve, what's his name, in Marillion. But I don't know how big Magnum made it, but that album, the Krang, used to put out their list of greatest heavy metal albums. You remember the term heavy metal was so broad back then, they would throw them in there. And that album always made the list. I've never owned that album because I couldn't find it. I mean, before the internet. So the only one I had was Magnum 2. And one called The Collection, which is a generic title for a greatest hits, but really good stuff.
They got a huge catalog too. So
Yeah, they do.
You got plenty of stuff to look for on that band.
Mhm.
Catman says he hates to say it, but he only likes Van Halen 1. He remembers buying the LP for $6.99, but I found I like Priest, Sabbath, Venom, etc. better.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
Whatever
I
floats
have
your
no
boat, Catman.
issue with it. Each their own,
That's,
I don't agree with them, but I kind of get it, so.
Well, I kind of had the same feeling because when I started listening to Van Halen, I was already into like heavier bands, so listening to Van Halen was kind of like they were a little lighter than those bands,
Yeah, but as a
Especially
drummer,
as the drummer, Alex Van Halen is awesome. When
yeah,
I got more into Van Halen and I got to go deep into this discography, I started to understand a little bit more, and I got into it a lot more. But at first, I'm just like, because actually, of course, I knew 1984, but then
right.
after that, I kind of just like drifted away from Van Halen, and then a friend of mine showed me Balance, and he's like, there's some good songs on here, so I started listening to that. But I'm like, this is like lighter stuff compared to the stuff I listened to, so I really never got into them.
I have to admit, actually, most of the Van Hagar era songs that I do like come from the Balance album.
Yeah, it is a decent album.
Just
I think
because
it's an excellent album.
Eddie's guitar playing on it, I would almost compare the quality of it to Fair Warning in terms of like its heavy usage of minor keys and things like that. Like a song like Seventh Seal, like he's not doing anything crazy on that, but just what he created, on songs like that, on Don't Tell Me, Balachatherium, even Feelin', somehow I'm able to turn off Sammy's voice. I'm not a fan of Sammy's voice. I don't think he's that good of a singer or a lyricist. But if you could shut that off and just listen to what Eddie's doing, you know, they were never a band that I strayed from, because growing up, Van Halen was in my DNA, because it was like the soundtrack for every summer with my brothers, you know, and our cousins. So even when I was into heavier stuff, Van Halen was still special for me. So
No, that's
Matt,
cool.
you're next.
You got to hear it earlier on. Go ahead, man.
Well, by the way, I think Balance is a great album, and I think Hagar is a great singer. I like David Lee Roth better. Sorry, I just connect more. But lyrically,
I love the first Montrose album.
I do too, actually. Actually, if that's all he did, I'd probably be a fan. But lyrically, I'm going to have to agree with you. But nobody listens to Van Halen hoping that they'll discover the new Leonard Cohen, you know. So I get it, you know.
He
But
played a great bad guy on Miami Vice, by the way.
all right, so you know, I'm going off the cuff. I was going to mention. Actually, I will mention them. I wasn't going to. The Doors first, the Doors first album. I wasn't going to mention them, but I'll tell you why I mention them. So I discovered the Doors through MTV, believe it or not. MTV in 1983, the Doors had put out a Live She Cried, which is now part of In Concert. And there was this big publicity campaign by the record label, and they released Love Me Two Times video. And they even had a special, The Fire Still Burns, or some stupid thing like that. I never heard of Jim Morrison of the Doors. For some reason, it captivated me. I was 13. I didn't see Apocalypse Now, so I didn't see that. You know, I didn't really listen to radio. I still don't. And to me, it was, I'm not frozen, am I, guys?
No.
Okay. To me, it opened up a lot of doors, no pun intended, but because it introduced me to beat literature. It introduced me to Sylvia Plath. It introduced me to jazz. It introduced me to a different way of looking at music and life, which is crazy because a lot of my life was influenced by a man that I will never meet, who died when I was 1 year old, you know. And I'm not talking about his lifestyle. I'm talking about him as an artist, that he influenced me. And I picked that up, and it took me a while to get it. But the reason I mentioned the Doors first album, because to me, it was much more than just music. It literally, if a piece of art can change your life, then they've certainly changed my life. And I think for the better. So thank you, Jim, wherever you're at. All right. That was it for me.
You're welcome.
Love me long time, baby. What? Sorry.
Go ahead, Lou.
All right. So
Wait, hold on. Before you go, Colin Madden, fair warning, is his favorite Van Halen album. He knows the band themselves didn't love it, but Van Halen 2 is my second favorite. Light Up the Sky, DOA. I like Sammy a lot in Montrose. And then he says the first Doors album is badass. If I had to pick a favorite, he'd go Morrison Hotel. And Catman, I feel the same about Balance. Great guitar album. I bought a pitch bender and harmonizer because of it.
Very cool. Yeah, because at the time, Peavey was releasing Eddie Van Halen amplifiers, the 5150s, which, unlike the 5150s of today, which are, you know, Fender custom creations, the Peavey sounded like absolute shit. They really,
you played
really
through
did.
them? You played through them?
I tried one out, and I was like, this is freaking disgusting. You know, and it was a tube amp. Normally out of tube amps, you get great sound. Not these. And there's a reason why. Because Eddie used an Eventide harmonizer. One for his dry sound and one for his wet sound. And that's what made his sound from 1991 until maybe humans beings, or no. Actually, I don't know when he switched over to Fender amps, but that period was why his sound was as good as it was. But it wasn't just the amp itself. Now 5150 makes great amps because they've completely distanced themselves from PV. So yeah, and I get the same effect using the more pitch box, that dry wet sound, that octave harmonizer, chorusy sound. So yeah, it's pretty cool if you can get it in a little box. So
Oh, that's cool.
as opposed to as opposed to dropping 4 figures on an Eventide harmonizer.
Do you like little boxes?
I like them little, I like them big, but I like them of age. That's the difference.
Lou, it's your oh, is there more chat stuff? 'Cause
Colin,
it's Lou's
those
turn.
5150s in the 90s had 2 settings: whisper quiet and ear bleedingly loud.
He's right. He's not wrong. It's true. The amp was horrible.
Hmm.
Crate,
Wow.
which makes lesser quality amps, had better sounds, especially with their Blue Voodoo models.
Hmm.
You know, like, you know, I remember one time I went into a Sam Ash purposely to buy a Crate Blue Voodoo, and the salesman was trying to sell me the 5150. I'm like, no, I want the Blue Voodoo. Yeah, but this 5150. I'm like, get the hell away from me with that thing.
I'm glad I'm a drummer. They don't tell me that stuff. What do you got, Lou? What's your next album?
So this little band from Sheffield, England, you know, at the time, they were the longest #2 record in 1983 with their album Pyromania. And it's the album that made me a huge fan of theirs. Of course, I'm talking about Def Leppard.
Yeah.
Love Pyromania to this day, but it wasn't Pyromania that made me the hardcore Def Leppard fan that I am. So the house that I grew up in, I had my aunt, uncle, and 3 cousins who lived upstairs from me. And my cousins and my brothers had similar tastes in music, you know, hard rock, classic rock, metal, you know, even country and stuff like that. So my godfather, Tony, my older cousin, he had this one cassette and it said Def Leppard on it, but it was like the weirdest album cover that I'd seen at the time. This guy diving into an empty, shallow pool with like these black and white faces looking up. I'm like, what is this? Now, before I didn't think, you know, oh, here I am, I'm 4 years old. Let me ask. I just said, ooh, what's this? And I put it in the cassette player. And the opening riff was Let It Go. And shoot, man, the moment I heard High and Dry, I was like, I am officially a Def Leppard fan.
Mm.
So I got to give it to that. And again, one of my top 4 favorite albums of all time, right alongside Fair Warning.
Yeah, I love that album so much. It's my favorite Def Leppard album. And getting
I'm,
that.
s-
You know
I'm
what?
so glad we covered On Through the Night.
Yeah. It's such a cool song, and it was a good cover too. But I was just so weirded out because when I got into Def Leppard, I got into Hysteria first, and then when I went backwards and heard Pyromania, and then when I got to High and Dry, I'm like, is this even the same band? It's like, how these guys don't even sound like the same people, you know? It was just so weird, but it was just so
if you
awesome.
think about it, High and Dry is almost like junior varsity AC/DC when you think about it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way of putting it. The first Def Leppard album I heard was the one everyone heard. I was at the right age, 13. It was Pyromania. Actually, I remember the song Rock of Ages because I was a huge AC/DC fan already. I remember thinking it was an AC/DC track. Now I listen to it. It doesn't sound like AC/DC. And I didn't know John Mutt Lang or what a producer did. So it wouldn't have occurred to me that anyway. But the way that Joe Elliott sang, now I listen to it, I don't think he sounds anything like Brian Johnson, but man, I really, really used to love Pyromania. And that was the first album I remember where everyone in my middle school, because I was still in middle school, loved it. You know, girls that didn't like rock music liked it. You know, the jocks liked it that we all hated. You know, the so-called heavy metal kids, because heavy metal, there was no thrash yet. Well, there was, but we didn't know about it yet.
Mhm.
And I remember, but I have to agree with Lou. My favorite Def Leppard album by far is High and Dry. But I also had the same reaction Wayne did. Because back then, you know, you would then buy the back catalog, at least if you're a hard rock fan. So the one I found was High and Dry. And that was a shock, but not as a big shock when I bought On Through the Night. You know, that even shocked me even more than the other one.
Oh hell yeah! Because like
Yeah.
the guitars were
Yeah.
different. Even
Yeah.
the Joe Elliott's voice was different too. It was just
Yeah.
yeah,
But I still loved it when I
Yeah.
heard it though.
yeah. No, it was good.
I didn't. It took me a long time to get into it, On Through the Night. But High and Dry, I love right away. And I guess you're right. I think it's because it had that AC/DC-ish type sound. And I didn't know Def Leppard had opened for AC/DC at that time. Like right before they got signed, they did a few shows with Bon Scott and version of AC/DC. Matter of fact, one of Rick Allen's favorite memories is Bon walking in and wishing him a happy 16th or 17th birthday. Apparently, there's a candy bar called Smarties over in England,
Mm.
and Bon handed him a bunch of them, goes, "Happy birthday, mate," and disappeared with some chick. But he remembered that 40 something years later, which I thought was cool, you know,
Everything goes back to Bon Scott.
as it should. Anyway.
My last one, The Mission, Carved in Sand. I forgot what the hell got me into this band. I think I was like on like a goth rock kick for a while, and I picked up one of their albums, and then I got to this one, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is like really really good. Actually, the band really don't like the second half of this album. I think they only like maybe like the first half, but there's some really cool songs in here. Amelia is the song that kicks it off, and it's about like a father who kind of he's almost like a pedophile because he does stuff to his daughter or whatever. It's a really disturbing song, but it's a really good song. Into the Blue, and they have a video for the song Butterfly on the Wheel. It's like, I can't even really describe it. Where the hell Lou go?
I don't know. He'll be back. So
He just disappeared.
We'll keep
But,
talking.
Definitely
Yeah.
check it out. I mean, this album is just really good. If you like goth rock, I mean, this isn't really goth. I don't think. I
Well, they were
wouldn't
known
really
here
consider
as Mission UK, and they were
Right,
labeled
right.
as a goth band. Matter of fact, John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin produced the one album I checked out. I can't remember the name of it.
There he is.
Had like a Gothic church or something on there. I don't remember. But anyway, underrated band, and I am shocked you mentioned them.
Oh,
But I knew him as the Mission UK.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I knew them as The Mission. I just found the CDs as that.
Yeah.
But also the guitar player, he was in Sisters of Mercy. He was like
Oh,
the first
great
guitar
fucking
players.
band.
Yeah.
Great band.
I think that's how I got into The Mission, because I was listening to Sisters of Mercy and I was checking out the members, and this band came up and I checked it out. They're actually still going today. They just released like a remix or something like album or whatever.
Well,
And actually
I
got to
have
see them too. They were really awesome live. It was just a really great band.
Well, I've got
which-
to grab the Mission. I'm glad they're just known as the Mission. I guess there must have been a U.S. band called The
There is a
Mission.
US band called The Mission. So they
Yeah,
have
but nobody remembers them. But they remember those guys.
Grain of Sand is the album.
Which
Wow.
Sisters album were you the fan of?
I'm not really a fan of like any album specifically. I just like a couple songs here and there.
Okay, because Flood, Flood. I think it was Flood or Floodland.
Floodland.
Yeah, that's the album that like. I mean, I remember hearing their first album, First, Last, and Always. I think it's what it was called.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it's
I
called.
can't believe I remember that. You know, Black Planet was a great song, but Floodland, I was just like, what is this? And you know, the funny thing is Andrew Eldritch hates being called a goth rocker. He actually felt like he had more in common with Jim Morrison and the Beach Boys than goth rock. And
Well,
he's
he
actually
doesn't,
quoted as saying
but-
that.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't. But
Uh,
the Sisters of, you know what's interesting? Sister of Mercy, they God, what was the third album called, Lou?
Vision
Anyway.
thing. Vision thing.
Yes, that was produced by Jim Steinman of Meatloaf.
really?
Yeah. So if you've got that greatest hits album called Slight Case of Overbombing, because that's the first time I heard him, was I bought that. I used to go to this place called the oh god, the Castle. It's still around in Ybor City. It's this party central place, and they would play Sisters of Mercy real loud, and I would go there because goth chicks were easy. But anyway, but but I would.
Yep.
I'd be like hitting on a chick and I'd forget all about her because I would hear this music. And but Jim Steinman produced it. So when you hear a song like this, Corrosion, and you hear it, it's going to make sense when you hear it because it goes on for like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And there's a male choir. And it's just
that song, Mother Russia, even though it's an awesome song, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, there's
I get it.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that it's so droning and lasts forever. I love it. I don't know why. It must be a sadomasochist.
No, I like it too. Any other artist but Sisters of Mercy, I'd probably say screw this. But for some reason, I can tolerate with those guys.
Did you see that tour they did with Public Enemy?
No, I never. I don't even know if it hit Tampa or not. So. But Mission, man, that was a very surprising choice there, Wayne.
Yeah, they're a really good band. Catman said, interesting, Lou. I remember that time frame. I did like On Through the Night, etc., and High and Dry, but around Pyromania time, metal started to veer towards the poppiness of hair metal. And a lot of bands that toured with AC/DC claim to have changed their sound as a result, Priest, Thin Lizzy, etc. Yeah, I do kind of agree with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pyromania was, how many bands made albums that try to sound like that? Slaughter for sure,
The funny thing is, I just feel like a lot of those bands would have created great albums if they didn't try to sound like Pyromania. I just, so look, I'm not saying Severed Angel is anything earth-shattering brand new.
Yes, it is. Nobody's ever heard this music ever before. And you can get it at severedangel.bandcamp.com. Here's a CD. And I know some of you people watching don't own this because I see who buys it and I send them out. And I haven't seen some of these names. So
yeah, we have access to the Bandcamp.
Yeah, so I better see some orders. Even if you listen to it on streaming, let us know you listen to it on streaming.
But the point I'm trying to make is that
shut up. And while you're there, projectresurrect.bandcamp.com is my other band. I have plenty of CDs of these to get rid of. So please.
Okay, Lou.
Wow, Mike Lindell.
And this show is sponsored by
from My Pillow. I use Stanley. Not Paul Stanley, just Stanley mugs. Because we're influencers, so all influencers drink Stanley.
I'm such an influencer. I'm influencing you to go buy the Severed Angel at severedangel.bandcamp.com and Project Resurrect at projectresurrect.com and hit subscribe on youtube.com/ratsaladreview and go to ratsaladreview.com and go to musicislife.podcast.com and buy that thing from Stanley and when it's Halloween time, go and buy yourself this wig here because that's what I'm wearing, and that's a really cool wig.
All right, Lou, what you were gonna say?
The point I was trying to make is that we're not trying to follow what's popular. We just do what we want. That's all I was trying to say.
And that's to try to be popular.
Actually, if anything, I hope it makes us unpopular and just amongst like a niche group of people. I'm okay with that.
You're right. Another.
Do you guys think
don't buy the Severed Angel album?
Do you think that Def Leppard?
No, buy it.
All right, fine, buy it. What?
Do you think Def Leppard's Pyromania would have? Well, it's still very popular, but do you guys think the disdain of that period would be so high if it wasn't for so many bands copying it? But they went to the extreme. I mean, they would hire the same producers and the same songwriting doctors and same film directors for their videos or video directors. Do you think Def Leppard shares the blame for that, or was that something that would have happened anyway?
No, it happened anyway. Kiss was doing that long before.
That's true, but Kiss is Kiss. But Def Leppard, that thing sold. I think that thing is what they call diamond in the United States,
It
right?
is Diamond.
So I
Yeah.
don't know what it sold internationally. It's got to be some ridiculous.
It might be
number.
Diamond, but it ain't King Diamond.
You know what it is? Every band's album is a product, and every product is a result of some kind of industry that's looking to capitalize on said product. So if it wasn't Def Leppard, it may have been something else. I think it's what Lemmy Kilmister said: right place, right time. Def Leppard hit at the right place at the right time. You know, but I mean, if you think about it, you know, I think 1984 sold as many copies as Pyromania the following year.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, we talk about, you know, if anything, both those albums influenced and spawned all the copycats that came out afterwards. But that's that's the thing about the music industry. It's not about artistic merit. It's about who could we get to sell the most albums. And you're lying to yourself if you think otherwise. And you know, it's not cynicism. It's I'm just being honest. You know, that's just the way it is. So, you know, you could release you can want to be that next big star in a major label, or that breakout star in an indie label, or just not give a shit and do it yourself.
That's weird. I just checking my email, and we have a return of a Severed Angel album.
Somebody returned the Severed
somebody's,
Angel.
somebody's returning it. I guess my advertisement went wrong.
Well, it did. Well, maybe they're picky. It's a broken case or something. Some
Look at
people
Lou's
are like
face.
that.
Lou's taking it so seriously.
How do you
I'm joking.
return an album from
I'm
an
joking,
independent
Lou.
band?
I'm
Oh.
joking. Go, come on, let's get this show over with. Who's
All
next?
right.
All right, Manny, your turn.
All right, I'll go quick. I'm going to choose Concrete Blonde, Bloodletting. I like. I got into them prior to that, but that was their classic album. That probably their best-selling album's got Joey. But I like Jonette Napolitano's vocals. I like the way she writes songs. It was dark before dark became Disney dark. And it's a kind of darkness. It's not Satan or any of that make-believe shit, but it's about personal darkness. And actually, it's got one of the first songs written about AIDS. She didn't write it, though. It was the guy from Wall of Voodoo that you mentioned, Lou, called Tomorrow
Goodbye,
Wendy.
Wendy. Tomorrow, Wendy, yes.
Yeah. And it's got one of the harshest lyrics because it's so angry, you know, where it talks about, you know, God got his ass kicked the first time he came down here slumming. If you take it out of context, it just sounds like it's an anti-Christian song. But in reality, it's about a person dying of AIDS whose friend is so angry this is happening to him that taking their anger out on God. And doesn't that happen in real life? So anyway, very powerful album. And definitely should have been a bigger band than they were, but those guys didn't play ball with the record labels, so they didn't get pushed. And they were on IRS for a little while, so that kind of probably explains why, you know. But they definitely should have been a bigger band. I saw them live a couple times, and just freaking great band. I don't know why they're not more revered. I know I like the Smiths, but I prefer Concrete Blonde. You know, I don't know why they're not as revered as the Smiths or REM or Elvis Costello. Again, I like these guys, but why isn't Concrete Blonde just as revered? Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. So there you go. Concrete Blonde, Bloodletting. Lou,
Never listened to it.
you probably hate it, Mike.
Probably. I hate everything.
So, I mean, I guess, so since we're talking about our gateway albums into our favorite bands,
Mhm.
and High and Dry and Fair Warning were both very influential for me. So if you're going to talk about Concrete Blonde, then I'm going to talk about Wall
Four
of Voodoo.
non-blondes.
Never.
We're not going to talk about the four fucking blondes. If I hear that song, what the hell's the name of that fucking shit song?
What's up?
Fuck that. All right, go ahead, Lou.
Then I'm going to talk about Wall of Voodoo then and 7 Days in Sammy's Town. So there was some the interesting thing about Wall of Voodoo is their connection to the adult film industry. Because originally when they started out, they were actually they wanted to be like a music factory to release soundtracks for horror films. That's what they originally started as. But then they became this band that did some, like I said, it was like a combination of like noise rock, new wave, and Ennio Morricone spaghetti western soundtrack music. It wasn't above them to use pots and pans for percussion, while Mark Moreland was playing some twangy guitar part. And for anyone who's heard Mexican radio, you know what Standard Ridgway's voice is like, and the keyboards were just like this creepy thing. They did a cover of Ring of Fire from Johnny Cash, which I actually love their cover. It's out there, but it's really cool. It was on an adult film soundtrack called Night Trips. And the funny thing is, a director by the name of Steven Sajayan, who actually worked for Hustler in their art department, became friends with them so much so that he actually went on and he worked on Night Trips, and he actually did photography and art direction for Wall of Voodoo later on. By the way, his nom de plume in the adult film industry, Rinse Dream, whatever. But and he even directed their video for the Beach Boys cover, Do It Again, which is pretty out there. If anyone saw the 1990 Dr. Caligari, which he directed, it's similar. But 7 Days in Sammy's Town, I remember hearing the first song, Far Side of Crazy, and I didn't realize they were talking about John Hinckley, who shot John Lennon. Right? It was John Hinckley?
Yeah, John Hinckley Jr. Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and
no, it's Mark Chapman who shot John Lennon.
Mark Chapman, I'm sorry. John Hinckley.
Yeah, John Hinckley tried to
right.
shoot Reagan. We should
correcting.
We should mention Mark Chapman's name. He's an asshole. All right, continue.
And I didn't realize then that he was singing about John Lennon because I didn't associate it. But I just remember being really, taken aback by the chorus. And I remain on the far side of crazy. I remain the mortal enemy of man. I'm like, this is deep. And I'm listening to this at 10 years old. So the further into the album I got, it's funny you're talking about Tomorrow Wendy, where there's frustration at God. Right. The album 7 Days of Sammy's Town closes with a song called Don't Spill My Courage, where he talks about pretty much being he may as well be amputated because he's lost control of his legs and his arms, and he's yelling at God, and he's still trying to get to his end destination by rolling himself across and saying, listen, the Lord took my legs, but he hasn't taken my heart, so don't take that away from me. And just finding such inspiration from that. So, I can't help but love this album, 7 Days in Sammy's Town. I wish more people knew about it. I wish Wall of Voodoo was more known for just Mexican radio. I think because that's like their worst song compared to other stuff. Of course, that's always the problem with the hit. It's always the dumbest song that becomes a hit or a novelty, So yeah. I would suggest people check out 7 Days of Sammy's Town wherever you can. If you can find a cheap copy of it on Discogs, get it.
Well, there was no such thing as the term alternative rock, because that was 83. So I think they were, because of Mexican radio. I know I viewed them as a novelty act, and the reason I checked them out was, again, Concrete Blonde, where is why I checked them out, because she also did a duet with them. It was a cover I think it was a cover Wall of Voodoo song called Sailing Ships. It was a B-side or something.
I don't know that one, actually.
It might not be. Maybe it's from a solo album of his. because back then these indie, now they weren't on an indie level of Wall of Voodoo. They may have ended up on one later, but if you're on an indie
They were on
label,
IRS the whole time.
there were, oh wow. Because if you're on an indie label, and maybe he was Andy on an indie label, unless that store special ordered it, it disappear into the ether, So anyway,
But
just
the thing about Wall of Voodoo, especially that album, what I've gotten out of it was it's really influenced my, I guess, my knack or sense for dark melodicism, I think is what it is. So that's why it's influenced me so much.
well, I'm just looking them up real quick to see, and they broke up in 1988. If they would have
Mhm.
just hung on a year or more, when alternative rock broke big, just a year or so later, I'm not just talking about Nirvana, Soundgarden. I don't consider that real alternative rock. No offense to them, but REM, 10,000 Maniacs, the first wave of it, they would have fit right in. But I didn't know that at the time, though, because when I got into them, they were already broken up. I certainly wasn't into them in 1988, that's for sure. So
Brown said he
Yeah,
might be
but,
wrong,
yeah,
but he
I-
thinks Fishbone Ash still also did soundtracks for pornos.
they did.
He said he might
No,
be
he's talking about Fishbone.
Fishbone.
They did. I didn't know
Um,
that.
No, not Fishbone, although I do know that Dr. Mad Vibes himself, Angelo Moore, one of his music videos was directed by an adult film director, Doug Sackman. Well, he horror and adult film. He's the one that directed Repenetrator and Evil Head.
You know a lot about
I
this.
gotta love these names. Gotta love these names.
Very strange.
I mean, they should win Academy Awards for best name title for an adult film. It's ridiculous.
All right. I think we did all three, right?
We did, sir.
We did all
Yep.
three. It's a shame that Greg didn't get to join us. He had a little trouble trying to get in, but next time.
Happy birthday, Snake from Voivod.
Yes, he
At least
wanted
we
us
got
to
that
mention
in for him.
We got that in for him, and yeah, so happy birthday there. Anything else? I thought of something and I forgot it. I guess it really didn't matter if I forgot. But check out my new show that I'm doing. I was going to do it tonight, but it's too late now. I'm going to read press releases that I get in my emails, and hopefully help some bands out that are releasing some new music, and maybe make you check out some new music that's coming out there, and like some new bands or whatever. So that'd be cool. Anything else going on?
Um,
No, not for
I have
me.
an interview tomorrow with somebody, Wayne.
Oh, that's right. You have Gus G. You're going to be doing an interview with.
Yes, I
That's
do.
so cool. That's cool, Lou.
Let's not forget that. Okay.
Yes, I got him for a half hour, and I'll try to make the best of it.
All right. You might have a
Lou,
little bit
I
more
saw
time.
your
You had the last
interview with,
so he said he might have a little bit more time if you wanted.
Well, Lou, I saw your interview you did with Diamond Heads, Brian. I can never remember say his last name.
Tatler?
Right? Thank you. That was the best interview in a long time. You had what, 20 minutes, 15 maybe? You
No,
hit all the
he gave me the full half hour. You know,
Did he?
was
But
really
he-
cool.
Yeah, but he was really cool. You got in there, you asked the questions, he answered them, and it was you. Anyway, you're a great interviewer. I wish I had half your skills in interviewer.
Just don't
Anyway,
forget my
so-
questions for this year.
Nobody cares about your
Thank
fucking
you.
question, Lou. Especially with that ridiculous hair.
This is
where
my
you don't-
hair. God damn it.
You look nothing like me with that hair.
Yes, I do.
No,
All right. My nose is a little smaller than yours.
well, Wayne, anything else?
Catman around 89. I got to hear the difference of Canadian radio compared to the US radio. Is where I heard the US rock invasion of bands like Skid Row, Guns N' Roses, Warren, etc. Okay. I don't think there's anything else. Tomorrow, check out Ralph's show, Almost Human. They are doing, what the hell are they doing? Because they kept changing it.
No, they're doing Black Sabbath, Born Again.
If he's feeling up to it, I heard he's not feeling.
He is.
too
He,
good.
he said that he is.
He said he's going to do it. So
It's on for tomorrow.
I wish I could be on, but I've got a work related crap I want to do tomorrow.
And I
So-
hate that album, so I'm going to be pointless. So I will not be there. I'm sorry.
No, that'd probably be a good counterpoint to why, but
Yeah,
anyway, I get it.
We'll see what happens. Red Special Forever. Everybody's doing great, but you missed the show.
Hey,
Next
Cole.
time, show up at 8:00. That's when the show starts.
Yeah, we're wrapping it up, B.
Red Special forever. Isn't that Cole?
Yes.
Yeah, him and his love of Brian May.
Yeah,
Oh.
make sure you hit that subscribe button, Cole. And I don't think you want to go back home, Cole, because Manny's been. Well, I'll let you find out when you get home. Just don't sit on the couch.
Yeah, I got a
God.
hold of your dad's adult stash. So very nice.
All right, everybody, hit subscribe, and we will see you next week. Until then, I bid you adieu.
Simone.
Goodbye.